Welcome, everybody, to Heroes Asylum, issue 71. My name is Mike, and to my left, right, would be Kane. Sorry, I'm looking at a camera, so it's backwards. How you doing, man?
What's going on, brother?
Not
Nice
much.
intro, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, we're changing some things up here since we are on YouTube
Reminds
now.
me of, what is that? What is that? Sammy Halen. Not Sammy Halen.
Sammy Halen, nice.
Sammy Hagar. What was it? Count 55. That's I keep thinking of. That's kind of like a guitar riff for that. But I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Yeah, like I said, we're on YouTube now, so I figured I'd freshen it up a little bit, make our intro a little less lengthy. But we are here enjoying. We're actually feeling the effects of Cristobal here in Florida. I have been inside so much with work and everything. I didn't even realize we were getting a tropical storm brewing out in the Gulf. That's how when my head has been so buried with everything going on and the around the rest of the country and stuff. I just did not know we were getting a. It wasn't until we had a couple of tornado warnings or watches yesterday.
I had no idea until last night.
Yeah.
When I was taking my dog out for his usual nighttime business, and then all of a sudden, I heard crackling, and I had to hurry him up. I was like, "Look, you got to hurry up, bro. We got some stuff coming." And then literally, does all his business, and a minute after I got in, the heavens opened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Well, we are here. We are staying dry. So, guys, welcome again to Heroes Asylum. Thank you for subscribing to us, watching us. We are on a podcast. We've been a podcast for well over a year now, but we decided to jump into the YouTube forum with everybody else, so that way you guys can see our pretty faces and watch me smack around my microphone as I'm doing this job. But we are going to jump in. We're going to talk about things we always do, about the comic book world, about the fantasy world, movies, TV, just all the news that's out there, and some new releases on comic books. I know Kane got some new ones today. I've read a few. It's been a busy week for me, but I was trying to catch up on some. But we're going to jump right into what we term and call our admissions ward. And the admissions ward is actually our news segment. And here we go.
News from the admissions ward.
All right, guys. So for the admissions ward, how many did you have today, Kane? I forgot, man. We talked last night. Four? Okay. Yeah. I think I've got.
3 of them are kind of interweaving, though.
Yeah, I think you and I had one of the same that we're going to kind of tag team together. I actually had 6. So let me go ahead and I'll kind of jump in and I'll start mine off. And what we'll do is we'll meet in the middle with that big story instead of like we were talking about doing it in the end. I figure we can maybe meet halfway and we'll hit it in the middle. My first one, actually, it comes from our friendly neighborhood Disney Plus. There is talks going on right now and casting, actually, going on for they're looking for a lead for a new Star Wars series that's going to be in Disney Plus. They haven't named it yet, but they are talking about having a Ezra Bridger, if anybody remembers, from Rebels, coming in. There's an ongoing casting process right now. They're searching for someone to fit the character and build, aged between 30 and 40. The maker's preference is Asian and wants the role to be of a particular, or not of a particular color. And they are saying they're keeping open-minded for Indian, Middle Eastern, Latino actors. So, I mean, if anybody has seen Ezra Bridger in Star Wars Rebels, definitely of the darker tone when it comes to that. And they're looking for an unknown actor. They aren't wanting to grab somebody that's known for it. And if this ties into that Rosario Dawson talk we had a few months back about that rumor, still haven't gotten a solid mark on that one yet. We haven't gotten a Disney quote coming from that. That was just rumors, but this one is definitely coming from Disney. And, according to Dave Filoni, Ezra Bridger is still out there. He's still running around the universe. And so they'd like to kind of like maybe brush up on it, because we're not going to get a Rebels sequel. Filoni's already said that, but he's definitely looking at doing something more. What do you think about that?
Smart move. I mean, I think one of the biggest things we've always talked about here is Star Wars making the universe smaller by bringing characters like to me, they didn't really need a solo film. I liked it. They didn't need it. You want to make Star Wars is a huge universe. I mean, don't even think about the legend stuff. It's a huge universe. A lot of characters out there. A lot of stuff you don't need to necessarily stay in a Skywalker vein. And this is a smart move. I mean, you're going to have like 2 Jedis. I mean, I guess Ahsoka technically isn't a Jedi, neither is Ezra, but Jedi-esque characters that you can follow will have the Force, who are not named Skywalker. And it's a good move. The way things ended for Ezra, if you haven't seen the ending of Rebels, check it out. He's out there. Ahsoka the White's out there. Why not? You have a fresh new story right in front of your face, too. It's literally right there. It's a new Jedi. I mean, you can introduce some new Sith, maybe the Inquisitors. I don't know what kind of direction they go into, but I think out of all the ones, this excites me the most because Ahsoka was kind of hinted. You knew that was going to happen. But Ezra's
but again, Ahsoka hasn't been really. That has not been official. That was only behind. That was only your rumor mills going on. Or this one is official. This one is official. Ezra is official.
But I like this one more. I like this one more because there's a lot more you can do with him. I mean, yes, he has a backstory. You have to watch Rebels to check it out, but still. I mean, what is his age range?
Well, they were talking 30 to 40. You got to think 30 to 40 because.
Okay, so at this point, he's probably probably like Luke Skywalker level, maybe. Probably.
I'd say.
I'm just thinking power level wise, like because when we saw him last, he still had he was getting there. So you figure like maybe 10, 15 years later,
he's probably. I think
hiding out.
If you age him, I think he was maybe like 5 to 7 years younger than Luke. So yeah, that would probably be about right.
So he has some kind of handle on the Force now.
Well, he did have his handle on the Force by the end of Rebels.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like now he's a little bit more aged, a little bit more the seasoning, as they say, as I would say. So it's a good character. I've always liked Ezra Bridger. I liked his journey in Rebels because I felt that Rebels was the story of Ezra Bridger and his growth to being the Ezra Bridger that we got, and eventually what happened to him at the end of Rebels. But it's a solid move. As long as they keep the casting good, let's get somebody out there that's solid. I want an unknown. I'm kind of at the point in my life where I don't want any big stars playing these characters now. I want somebody I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Because if I get somebody I know, then I'm like, I don't know. Like, doesn't really fit it. Just get somebody from, who just recently graduated Juilliard or Broadway. One of the best things the Justice League did, to go off on a little side note, was when they casted Ray Fisher as Cyborg. I didn't know who Ray Fisher was. Then I saw him as Cyborg. I was like, okay, that's Cyborg. So if you're going to go to unknown on this one,
well, if they continue, if they continue with what they've always done in Star Wars, they've always grabbed your unknowns. You really haven't had many actors unless they're the parental figure, the master. Those have always been known known actors, except for maybe Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor was a well-known actor at the time, but you look at the rest of the cast, all of your masters, your teachers were known characters. So I definitely see going unknown with this. And again, if they are thinking of bringing in Ahsoka, great. I'm still on the fence with Rosario. Again, that's one of those ones I just have to see to believe when I see it.
It's one of those ones where Rosario's not a big known actress, but she's known enough. I think that's the best way to say it. That maybe I would have gone for an unknown, but.
Yeah, if they go that route. And then, of course, there is talk with Mandalorian that they, not this season, obviously Season 2's already been wrapped up well before COVID started, but, there's the talk of bringing back in the Boba Fett actor as well, so for maybe something to do in Season 3, so maybe that's the tie-in, or maybe the talk of the Boba Fett actor was actually for whatever Ezra Bridger show was going to be. Mm-hmm. So, well, time will tell, but that is definitely a casting. They're looking for that right now, so that is a definite for sure. And it's not saying if it's a full season, full series, or just a guest spot, but Disney Plus is looking for somebody to fill that role.
And just to piggyback on one more thing you said, as far as getting an unknown actress and surrounding them with these older type actors, who've been in the game a while, that's been going on for a while. If you think about it, you just mentioned the original Star Wars did that. They surrounded an unknown Mark Hamill with a guy like Alec Guinness and several of them. I mean, they had Christopher. Is it Christopher Lee? Christopher Lee was in that movie, and he was a well-known actor at that point. And then, of course, the Donner Superman. You had an unknown Christopher Reeve, and who did you get? You got Gene Hackman. You got Ned Beatty. You got who played Lois Lane? I forgot. You had Margot Kidder. So you had those well-known actors surrounding something with an unknown. So basically, not to cover him, but basically saying, "Hey, man, you know what? The weight of the world is not on your shoulders. We're here to help you out too." Even Batman Begins did it too.
Yeah. Well, Christian Bale was a well-known.
But he wasn't like, as he is now. He was known, but he wasn't like super known. That's what I'm trying to say. He did like what Empire of the Sun, American Psycho, Machinist. Before
Yeah,
that.
I was saying he was pretty well known. If you're going to throw those names out there, you're talking about.
But those aren't well-named movies.
Yeah,
I mean, could you name him? I mean, you could. I mean, you're a buff, but I'm just saying, like a casual fan. Who's Christian Bale?
No, I think people would know, especially because a couple of those movies got Oscars, got Oscar nods. You know, a couple. The Empire and the Sun got an Oscar.
Empire of the Sun was when he was like 14.
Yeah, still, again, just because you got it when you're a kid doesn't mean you forgot. I think he was a little bit more well known than
I think
you
he
give
was
him credit
known,
for.
but not super well known as you think he is.
Well,
I think he was more well known after Batman.
You're super and well known are two different levels. You can't.
I think people knew of him.
Exactly, and that's all you need to know. People need to know of him, and that's.
Well, what is the name we always give them? The sheep out there didn't know who they were until after Batman Begins.
I don't know. A lot of people knew about him. I think a lot of people knew about him. I think in your world,
there's known, there's
super known. Okay, I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Okay. What do you have for your next one? Because we can sit here and argue about this for 30 minutes. So, what do you have for your next?
My next one. Any sequel to the Batman's Matt Reeves, and they're talking about a sequel. The movie hasn't even been finished production yet, but I guess we can sit here and pretty much guarantee they're gonna make a sequel unless it absolutely bombs. Matt Reeves recently spoke about a sequel that he does not want to use any villains that have been used before in any other Batman film. And to Matt Reeves, I go like this. Thank you. I don't think I want to see the Joker for the 100th time. I don't want to see Catwoman for the 190th time. I mean, Two-Face we've seen here or there now. I mean, can we get a better... We're going to get the Riddler. I mean, my God. You have a toy chest full of these cool toys, and now he's going to use them? I say, hell yeah. Do it. I mean, bring out the Ventriloquist. Bring out Firefly. Bring out the Mad Hatter if you want. You can make a cool story with the Mad Hatter. I mean, hell, bring out one of your favorites. Bring out Hush. There's a tie-in right there to the Wayne family.
To be honest, the one you and I always talk about that I wish they would do, and they can do it. Clayface.
Yes.
Clayface is perfect for you because you can make him anything. Yes, he is an actor, but it's you got to realize he could be anything, and and he can turn into anything. So I mean, I think with Clayface, it's a perfect open-ended villain. And nobody has touched him yet.
Yeah, he hasn't been touched. I mean, he's been done great on Harley Quinn. That's a different story. But yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, you can make an entire arc. I mean, actor basically who had great fame, lost the fame, wants to get it back, will do anything to get it back. You could use cosmetic and plastic surgery, screwed him up by his company, and then he becomes Clayface. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do. I mean, I'm more for like the crime noir stuff. I would like to do like Ventriloquist. I think that'd be kind of creepy, especially anything with creepy dolls. Hell, you haven't even used Deathstroke yet. I mean, there's a lot of characters you can use in there.
I always see Deathstroke more as a Titan villain more than a Batman. Yeah, Batman's got.
He's kind of been like both a hybrid now. He's mainly
sort of
villain,
has, but it's more kind
of scrapped with Batman
too. Batman's got way too many villains to really draw into from another, stealing from another person. I think he's. If there's a Robin involved in the storyline, then I go ahead and bring Deathstroke in. But
there's just a lot of characters they haven't touched yet. I mean, you just said Clayface. I mean, come on, so many others they haven't even touched, and I'm just glad.
I mean, Clayface, even if they do a better version, which I wasn't a big fan of, do a better version of the Scarecrow. I didn't like that version. I just didn't like that. I wanted the more creepy scientists trying to figure, to me it was just
I'll tell you
it was too white bread for that villain.
Here's the thing. I agree with you, and I kind of disagree with you at the same time. I agree because he didn't have enough screen time to me for him to be the Scarecrow. But on the other hand, he was a Scarecrow because there were elements of Crane in there.
There were, but they
didn't go deep.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What makes Scarecrow great is that psychological side of him. That's what makes all of Batman villains great. Is the psychological side. If you don't venture into that and journey into their minds, they're just villains. They're just boring villains at that point. If you want to really get them, the Joker is probably the one of the few that they've really delved into the psychology wise. Penguin a little bit with Danny DeVito. When you look at the origin of Penguin and how his parents didn't love him, there's that psychology that he's doing this to be to be noticed and to get his name back. It's an ego trip with him. There's certain villains they've delved into that. Bane was one. They really kind of delved into that. Raish and Talia, they delved into that, but a few of the other ones they just haven't. You got to get in, because if anybody's a big Batman fan, they're all about the psychology of those villains. It's not just that they're a villain; it's what's driving that villain to do what he's doing.
I think there was a comic book out there that came out many moons ago, and I forgot the name of it. If you guys can remember it, it basically discussed that all the villains that Batman faces are basically opposite sides of his ego. Like the Penguin represents his him coming from wealth. I forgot Bane represented his strength. Scarecrow, his fears. I mean, it's a whole book out there basically saying that the villains that Batman has are basically opposite sides of the coin of him. Like same thing with Harvey Dent. You know, it's the other side of justice. I mean, it's a whole book out there. I forgot who wrote it.
Wasn't the one you were talking? I think it was the one where he was actually trapped in Arkham. And
yeah, I think it was.
I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. That might have been it. I forgot who wrote that, but it's a really good book. But the bottom line with this whole thing is, I'm glad that he's thinking this way, because honestly, I think you and I can both agree 100%. I don't want to see the Joker no more.
No,
I'm all Jokered out.
I'm good.
Put the Joker away in the toy chest for a little while. Even in the comics, I'm tired of the Joker. Like I'm just sick of this whole Joker world, but just end it. Hopefully he retires for a while. I like the Batman Who Laughs. He's cool, but the Joker character, I'm just kind of done with. I don't think there's anything left for him to do.
Not yet. Yeah, again, it's just like they are doing with Wolverine. That you got to let him breathe. Let him breathe. Let people forget about him. Bring up a new villain, a new character. Play with that toy for a little bit. Let somebody go. Okay, here's a character that might not have a great backstory. Let's create a great backstory. Joker has several backstories people can play with. Joker's an easy write. If for writers that are out there, Joker's an easy one to write because you have the three faces of Joker. You can pick one of those and write a story, and then somebody else 2 years later can pick the second Joker and write a different story. So it's not the same story, but it's the same character with the same damage and baggage to it. Yeah, just pick a new one. Again, my pick, I always vote for Clayface. Pick that again. He doesn't have to be the actor. He could be something else that drives him to be that way. And again, like you said, I'd be up for Mad Hatter, or even like you said, the ventriloquist.
I think both of them would be so cool.
I don't know if the ventriloquist could get away right now. That'd be kind of a silly.
He could be a side character. He doesn't have to be the main one. I mean, you can make the Mad Hatter the main one, or he could be a side one to the Bane or something like that. Just get him in there. I think they're really cool characters. They're kind of cryptic, especially a guy who talks to a dummy and killing people. I think that's freaky.
Well, I honestly, when I look at the ventriloquist, I always think of Two-Face. Just he's basically Two-Face, and he just has a doll that he uses instead of a coin or
but
the other.
Isn't that kind of creepy? You're seeing a guy who's basically scared to death, and you're scared to death of a doll, and there's two guys right there. That's freaky.
Yeah,
to me, but
yeah, definitely. But we'll see. Hopefully, they'll come up with something. I guess I'll stick into the DC world, something that's been drumming up, and we've been getting talks about. We got the HBO Maxes were in the works of trying to do Green Lantern. And it looks like Michael J. White from, if he played Spawn, he was a Bronze Tiger in the Arrow. He has shown interest. Actually, he posted it on his social media that he would be interested in playing Green Lantern. If they go with the Jon Stewart route. What do you think about this? And if and also, who do you have anybody else you would think that could go that route?
I want to show you something. Newsflash: actor wants job.
Yeah,
shocking. I mean, he'd be good. I mean, the guy's. Only thing is, I think Michael J. White's in his 50s now.
Yeah, that was
matters. I mean, he could pull off a Jon Stewart. I would like somebody like a little bit younger.
That's why I was asking. Who would you think would be good?
Honestly, I was watching Black Klansman about 2 nights ago, and John David Washington was in that movie. And if you guys don't know who John David Washington is, he's the son of Denzel Washington. He's going to be in the upcoming Tenet, which I think is one of the first movies coming out when the theaters open back up in July.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when I saw that movie, I kept thinking, man, he'd be a really good Green Lantern. He's about the right age. You can get him for trilogies right now. And he's a really good actor, too. he's done some other stuff too that I went down a hole with John David Washington. I kept thinking, well, he just popped up recently. No, he's been doing some stuff for a while. Does he have his dad's mannerisms? Doesn't have that screen presence his father has yet. And I say yet.
Yeah. Well, Denzel didn't at the beginning either. So.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like his career, like if you saw Denzel in Glory, he didn't have that that presence yet neither. I think that came later on, and I think this kid, because me, I think this kid can definitely pull it off. I saw him as Jon Stewart. I kept thinking, I'm like, that's Jon Stewart right there. Yeah, I could see that. I could see him and Hawkgirl like just battling it out, and then falling in love. I just see it. That was the first thing that popped in my head.
I actually was thinking John Boyega.
He's not bad.
He's young. He's young enough. He's young enough. He's got the look. You don't want him ultra beefy because Green Lantern's not about physical strength. It's internal strength. It's about your will. So you don't need a ripped, Henry Cavill type person. So, and I think he would pull it off pretty good. I think he's got the acting chops. We've seen he's got the acting chops. If you've seen anything else he's done, he's got the chops. All right, he obviously can do a good American accent. So
very underused in the new Skywalker trilogy. Now that I've rewatched it a couple times,
yeah.
I thought the first movie he was great. The guy had a great arc, and I just think very underused.
Yeah, he was.
But you're right. He is a good actor. Attack the Block. If you guys haven't seen it, it's like a British type of movie. One of his first films that he did. It's about aliens invading literally a block in the UK. He's really good in it, and you're right. I could see him pulling that off. And yeah, he can do the English acting just fine. So
yeah,
I think either one of those two is not a bad choice. Like you said, right age, been around for a little bit right now, and they can act. So
now, what do you think? What direction should they go with Jon Stewart now, or should they go a different direction?
I would go with Hal.
You think
really
going Hal?
I know people are clamoring like Jon Stewart. The reason Jon Stewart has his popularity, and I don't mean to us geeks. Us geeks, we're different. We know, there's thousands of Green Lanterns.
Yeah, we know all the Green Lanterns. Yeah,
we know all the Green Lanterns.
Yeah,
even one in particular that I won't even mention. But but I think at this point, go for the OG. Go for Hal. Hal's been around the longest. He's got the name.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think right
he was
now
around that horrible Green Lantern.
I think Jon Stewart. Sorry, I didn't mean to catch you. I think Jon Stewart is so much in people's minds because the people that are in that age group right now that really want to see these things grew up with the Justice League television series. Yeah,
I get it, but I would still go with Hal. I still would go with Hal for right now because I think he's that name. He's got that story. I like Jon Stewart. And I wouldn't hate it either way.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm going with Hal. I'm going with the OG.
I think I think I would stick to the beginning and then bring in these guest stars to do John.
Yeah.
Do Guy. Do Kyle. Yeah. Bring everybody in. You're gonna have to have Kilowog. You're gonna have to have Mogo. You're gonna have to have the whole group.
I just hope they don't ruin Mogo, man.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Well, how can you? What can you do to Mogo? He's a planet.
I know.
I know they screwed up Ego. They screwed up Ego in MCU.
I don't think they screwed him up. I'm just saying, don't
planet, not a person.
Don't make him a robot or something stupid. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No.
I just, that's my fear, because I remember the longest time when they trucked for a Transformers movie. This is many years ago. It was a huge rumor before they actually did Unicron. And he actually was the planet, but whatever. They actually were talking about Unicron being what was it? It was going to be like an oil rig, an oil derrick or something. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, you're talking about on the Michael Bay?
The Michael Bay one, yeah. They were like, yeah, he's going to be an oil tanker, an oil rig.
Well, they screwed up Jetfire. I mean, I was if I was more upset about anything in the Transformers, I was a Jetfire fan growing up. I think it was something that just had to do.
I didn't hate Jetfire too much. I thought he was okay.
I think it just had
to
do with my
robot. He was in a museum.
Well, no, I didn't like the fact of he was in a museum. He was old, and he was the old SR-71s. I wasn't happy with that.
Yeah, and he had like a beard, and he was British. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. So that is what I have for Jon Stewart in Green Lantern. What do you got?
I got some news from HBO Max, man. HBO Max. This is completely rumor. I mean, I don't like putting too much rumors out there, but I think it's a healthy rumor and it's good for discussion. Recent rumors suggest that AT&T and Warner Media want Ben Affleck to return as a Caped Crusader in an HBO Max series. Now, the report also reveals that the company wants Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello to be part of the project as well. Sources say the actors are set to reprise the roles. It could be a miniseries, could be just a one-off movie. Nobody knows, but it's basically because the storyline was teased at the post-credit scene of Justice League, so I guess HBO Max wants to follow through with that. Yes, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No,
That's the thing.
no.
I say yes. Yes.
Ben won't come back. I don't
it.
think Ben will come back
Ben won't
because
come back.
and Jared won't come back after the way he was treated.
No,
So,
I don't think
yeah.
either one of those guys are back.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. I mean,
yes,
that's
yes,
full.
at the highest form.
Yeah,
If you can find a way to do it, sure.
that was written by a geek fan. That just is like that geek was us at 2 a.m.
That's why
after
I
drinking.
said it was rumor. That's why I said it was rumor. That's why I said I don't like putting rumors
Yeah.
out there, but I think for discussion wise, I think it's a cool.
That's you and I at the
and,
Winchester at midnight going, hey man, you know what would be awesome.
And that's usually me. That's usually my voice, by the way. Hey, Captain, you know what would be cool?
And I'm just nodding.
No, but you know, who knows? I mean, I think Jared. I'm one of those people who didn't hate his version because I thought he didn't have enough screen time.
Yeah,
That's
I don't.
just
Yeah,
me.
I agree with you too. Yeah, I was.
Because I couldn't really judge it. I mean, for the scenes I saw him in, like his version of the Joker was kind of cool. Like I was like, okay, he's very gangster,
Well,
Al Pacino,
it's what-
Scarface type
yeah.
vibe, which I kind of dug.
It's what Joker
And I
would
was
be
looking at-
now. But
Yeah, and I was like, man. And they had that scene at the beginning of Suicide Squad where you saw Batman jump at the top of this Joker mobile, which I also thought was pretty cool.
yeah,
And I was like, man, you know, I would just love to see them in a movie together because we never got it. I mean, I don't think we will get it. You know, it's going to be one of those what ifs to the end of time.
Yeah, the
Another one we talked about in this report is Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke. He's another one. Like, what did he have? Like 2 minutes of screen time at the end?
not even.
Maybe a minute?
If that.
My God, I would have loved to see him as Deathstroke.
Yeah.
We'll see what he could do. That would have been another awesome. But like I said, this is strictly rumor. I don't think it's going to happen as much as I wanted to.
No, we got a
But
good
for
live
discussion-wise-
Deathstroke in Titans. I was happy there, and I think I don't know what people were expecting. We weren't supposed to get Joker in Suicide Squad because it wasn't a Joker movie. He was there for eye candy. He was there for the cherry on top. He wasn't the Sunday. He was just there to go, hey, look, he is here. So was Batman, because Batman wasn't that involved either. So why would you have the two people known for fighting each other just be there for a few moments? And you're just all they were doing is setting up the world for us viewers. That's all they were doing because Suicide Squad is the B squad. You know, and I think that's what all they were there for. So I didn't expect much. What I got,
No,
I liked.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Except for one thing, I know I'm going to transition to the animated world. They made a movie. I think it was a year before Suicide Squad got released. It was called Attack on Arkham.
Yes.
It was basically the Suicide movie before the Suicide Squad movie before the Suicide Squad movie. And what they had in that movie was Batman and the Joker, but they were not integral parts of the movie. No. Like you had Batman like in spots. I think he was at the beginning, a little bit in the middle. Then you find out at the end where he was all that time. Same thing with the Joker. The Joker you didn't see until like midway through.
Yeah.
But then he became part of that movie. And then it just flowed. I mean, basically that movie was about the Suicide Squad Deadshot and him getting, you know, his little girl back.
Yeah, and
the way he got to back at the end. I think if you could do something like that, like going forward in DC movies, like you don't need to use your main big boys in every movie. You don't need to do that. That's why I think when I heard about the Cavill deal last week, I thought, yay, okay, I know they're going to do a Man of Steel too. Don't know when, but I know they are. But if you can just like put them in spots, letting the audience know, okay, hey, you know what? They're not part of this movie, but they are around.
Yeah, they're still
That's
here.
That's cool.
Just hey, you remember me, don't you? Hey,
yeah,
look at me.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Remember me? That's all you need to do. But as far as his Affleck thing, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
Next?
Oh, actually, I've got a rumor too. We'll go ahead and what I think I'll do is we'll do the rumor here, and then next we're going to do the big elephant in the room that that you and I talked about earlier. But so this one actually will involve the MCU. We've been talking about the DC rumors. This one falls into an MCU rumor, and this one actually came from a fairly reliable source. This guy is known for getting some scoops out of the Marvel MCU world. Marvel scooper Mike Sutton. We've talked about him before. He is talking about the X-Men that they're starting. There's no heavy plans yet, but they have laid out light blueprints to that. That we're not going to see anything for the next 5 years because obviously Feige has his plans out. Did I say Feige? Did I say the right name?
Feige.
Sorry.
French?
I'm sorry. I got Favreau and Feige. I always get because they're the masters of their universe.
Feige.
So, but they were here's talking about that they're going to start bringing in the X-Men in early stages, just like they did with the Avengers. Slowly introduce these characters. Basically, what he's saying is Marvel Studios' plan for the X-Men indeed are in the earliest stages of development. Mutants are indeed coming to the MCU and will be introduced Avenger style in other characters' films. They are currently looking at the initial lineup of the X-Men group to include. Now, this is what they're talking about to bring in. Is first they're looking, or not first, not in any order, but they're bringing in Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Thunderbird, Nightcrawler, Sunfire, Havoc, and Storm. And Storm will supposedly be linked with Black Panther through Wakanda, which that does fall in line with her origin story. So those are, again, this does come from a fairly reliable source, that has dropped some news before on Marvel, but that's what they're looking at: Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Thunderbird, Nightcrawler, Sunfire, Havoc, which I can definitely say that with Cyclops, and then of course Storm. So what do you think about those options?
I love the fact that Feige is such a nerd that he throws in Sunfire and Thunderbolt, like two guys that we barely seen on screen. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to pick these guys up again, see what I can do. That's what I love about Feige.
And I love the fact he brought in Nightcrawler because, honestly, there are more Nightcrawler fans out there, and they're the quietest fans of X-Men. You don't know. But once you bring up Nightcrawler, oh, my God, they come out of the woodwork like nuts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, believe me, I knew one. He lives in California right now.
I know a few of them, and it's just like, wow, I had no idea. I knew you were into comics, but I didn't know you were that freakish of a Nightcrawler fan.
He has a cool little backstory, too. That's what I like about him. He's not just teleporting. I mean, he was born that way.
Yeah.
He has, like, this religious faith thing going on. I mean, he's a very deep and complex character. But I just love the fact, like I just said, man, Feige's a sweaty. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to bring the X-Men you think I'm going to bring. I'm going to bring in Sunfire and Thunderbolt. I'm like, you know what, Feige? That's why you're so cool. Because you bring in X-Men that barely people know. I mean, we know, but others don't know. And I'm going to push them to the forefront. I'm going to show you these guys. I'm going to show you how cool they can be. That's what I like about Feige. He always trumps expectations by just doing something you never thought about. And this is totally in line with what he does anyway. So kind of like when he did Ant-Man and the Wasp, when he picked the villain, he chose Ghost. Who knows Ghost except for Sweaty? Not too many other people. And he had Goliath in that movie too, the guy who would be Goliath or was Goliath at one point. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, I'm all for this. I mean, did the reports say what kind of X-Men they're going to have? Is it going to be from Earth 616? Or
well, no. I mean, if you're talking Storm being from Wakanda, so there really hasn't. Ultimates? They have not said. Again, this is they're just in the infancy. This is just a little bit of the rumor mill kicking around. They're infancies, but they are choosing which ones they'd like to see come out.
I love it. I love the idea. I'm all about it. You don't give everybody what they want right away. But you get them a little bit of the breadcrumbs. You know, I'm going to give you these two, and I'm going to give you these two that you know.
Well, again, the way they described it is they're going to introduce them each like in different films. So you're not going to get them all. Hey, there's all the X-Men right there. It's not going to be an X-Men film. You're going to see. You're probably going to see in Black Panther 2. You're probably going to be introduced to Storm, and then we're establishing she's there, and then you're probably down the road you might get introduced to Nightcrawler. Or Sunfire. You're just, you never know the order that they're going to come in.
But they're coming.
Yeah, but they will be coming. So
it's a solid plan. I mean, you can't argue with his success. So whatever he's got in mind, he's got a plan for it. So he's going to go for it. And he's going to follow through with it. So, like I said, Storm coming from Wakanda, brilliant. I mean, that one was. We love Wakanda. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Like, okay. The other two, I'm not sure where they could pop in yet. I mean. Maybe a Guardians or
again, it's just all based off of where do they show up.
Yeah,
really, where do the next group of episodes take place at? Or the next group of movies. I think that's where you're going to find the most, the answers at, and then you might even get a hint. Okay, well, hey, this one's taking place in, America, in the western part of America. Well, probably Thunderbird, might be somebody that comes in at that point. It's you just got to look and see, kind of wait and see what happens.
Like I said, he's got it all. He's got it all planned out for the next 10 years. So, like I said, in Kevin Feige, we trust.
Sometimes.
Yes, we know. We know.
There's still issues there. He doesn't have a perfect record with me.
Yeah, we know.
So.
Yeah, we know.
So what do you have? Okay, we're gonna jump into the big one.
Are we gonna jump into this one now?
Yeah, why not? We're here.
Okay, I guess I'll
kind
read
of
this
the
one off.
halfway point for us.
Okay, let me take a little deep breath. Give me a second here. All right. Last week we reported that Ruby Rose was leaving her role as Kate Kane, Batwoman, after one season, then we brought up some examples of main characters leaving the show and that were replaced by, they were playing basically the same character. And if you know what that means, if you guys have watched any soap operas in your lifetime, basically what they do is, let's say a guy named Adam was in the soap opera. He's been there for the longest time. Well, 2 weeks later, you'll see a different guy, but he's still playing that same character. It's still him. He still has the same backstory and everything. However, in this case, it is being reported that the character of Kate Kane will be left out. And instead, and this is posted on Reddit, we're going to have somebody else who's going to pick up the cowl and the wig of Batwoman. And apparently it's going to be like a little fangirl, like Ryan Wilder, I guess is the name. I'll give you a little quick description on her. She's supposed to be a female in her mid-20s, complete opposite of Kate Kane, likable, messy, a little goofy, and untamed. With no one in her life to keep her on check, Ryan spent most of her life as a drug runner, dodging GCPD, masking her pay with bad habits, and she's reformed and sober today, living in a van. Captain, I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I never got all of that information. Again, that came from Reddit, so Reddit's about as reliable as Wikipedia. What I have read, and this comes from one of the producers, and she actually had said, yes, there's your description of what they're looking for is spot on. That somebody that's not all put together. She's a little messy, a little unkept. Definitely falls under that umbrella. But yeah, I didn't see anything about any name that came out. I just find it interesting.
That was one from about a year ago that they were using for as far as the description goes. That was a name they
a year ago. So. They were looking for somebody a year ago before she said.
They're looking for some. It's not even supposed to be the Batwoman character. It was a character that they were introduced on a call sheet.
Okay,
that's what it was. So
okay, well, this one news is coming from series runner Carolyn Dyers. Just so you guys know where I'm getting my information from. Explain why they did not consider going forward with a recasting of Kane. Greg Berlanti helped her make the call for the new direction to go with a different character. So it says, to be honest with you, I did consider the soap opera version of for a hot minute, kind of what you were talking about. Selfishly, because we did a couple of episodes already. They already did have a couple of episodes written and where the transition was going to take place. And Greg said we had already started on the Breaking Season 2, but upon further reflection, she said that Greg, helped, decide that they're just going to basically kind of do a reboot to the Batwoman character. And it says their casting surfaced this week. Accurately, to reboot would be a very different character. First discovered, they're calling out for. I think this is the one that you were reading about a Ryan Wilder. And described her as just just a little goofy, untamed.
Just a character description. That's all it really was. Yeah.
So I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me why you would just abandon the character. They're saying that they're trying to find somebody that will still hold and keep together what Ruby did to the character. They're trying to definitely not bypass the LGBT community in the statement that was being made in the show. But I'm not sure on why just completely scrap it, because we have seen so many shows where that actor's no longer there, that's no longer available. Let's bring in somebody else to play that character. So obviously the look of Batwoman's not going to change. The girl can still throw on a red wig, and nobody out in Gotham's going to know the difference. So we don't have to worry about that story being screwed up. But it's just, how are you going to replace that? There have been several different Batwomen out there. So if you look through the history of comic books, and it wasn't just Kate Kane, there were several different Batwomen. So, I mean, it's weird that I didn't notice that the name that you gave, it didn't ring a bell as one that was in there before. So it's kind of strange why they wouldn't choose somebody that already had been there. You know, obviously they don't want to grab Barbara Gordon because that's a whole nother that's a whole nother animal you don't want to play with.
It's a can of worms.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there have been several other ones that have filled in for Batwoman. So I'm not sure why they didn't go that route and just go completely brand new, unless they're trying to make their own Batwoman and not have to rely on the comic books. I mean, that could be the one thing that I could see them doing, to say, well, we're still going to use the character, but the character underneath the mask and the mantle is nobody you've ever seen before. So we don't have to look at source material. We can just write our stories, and it doesn't have to follow anything. So I mean, that's the only reason I could see them making that decision.
I'm going to give you the positives on the first. Greg Berlanti has a good track record so far with CW shows. Pretty good, I would say. He's been spot on with Arrow, Flash, Legend, even Legends, which I thought never would work, was pretty good.
You just said he was spot on with Arrow?
He was on it. Yeah, he got with Arrow. Well, did I say spot on?
You did say spot on. He was nothing spot on about Arrow. It was Arrow. Arrow was good. I'm not saying it wasn't, but that was not Arrow. That was Batman. I mean,
sorry.
I think I saw 2 Arrow stories in there, and that was about it. The rest were Batman.
I'm going to say he was spot on with Batman. Okay.
He did some great work on those shows. Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to take anything away.
Yes,
he falls under the Kevin Feige umbrella that, yes, in Berlanti in television we do trust. He definitely has a good track record there.
So his track record is really, really good. That's what I'm saying. Even right now, I think he's an exec producer on Stargirl. I like Stargirl a lot. Like I said, and I haven't seen the way they're going to write this character at all. I don't know who they chose as an actress yet. Don't know what they're going to do with it at all. Maybe it's going to be great. However, I think this is a stupid move. I think it's dumb. Why would you get rid of Kate Kane? Why? How are you going to explain, the relationship between her and her father? Basically that he is the guy hunting her down. Explanation.
Is she a cousin of a cousin now? This Ryan? Will we find out she's a cousin of a cousin? Or?
And what about the sister? The sister was the main villain of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
What? She just up and disappeared? Hey, I didn't get her.
That's why I'm hoping Ruby will hang on for a couple of episodes to do a swan song, and then walk away and do the transition to say, maybe this girl in the van is kind of helping her out, and she's not realizing it. She's trying to say, "Don't know that you can't do this. This is dangerous. I can only do this." And then she realizes this girl's got more to her than we know. The typical nerdy, take off the glasses. It's a hot girl in a superhero form. She looks like she can't take care of herself, but in all honesty, she can kick some ass. Maybe they'll go that route. I just hope she hangs on. That's the one thing I hope. If she hangs on enough to let this transition go, if it just starts fresh season 2 and she's gone, that's where I'm going to be like, oh, that's going to be rough.
And then you introed Bruce Wayne. He has no relation. I mean, it's not Bruce Wayne, but it's
you introduce Hush.
It's Hush, but
same Bruce.
I'm just saying, you were gonna. I know it's not Bruce Wayne. It's Tommy Elliott. I know, but anyway, you're gonna introduce that guy with that face who has Bruce Wayne's face. And you're going to have that scene where he's going to walk in the Wayne Enterprise, like, oh, it's him. And Kate's going to be like, oh, it's him. And then now you're not going to have Kate?
Yeah.
Now you're not going to have that moment? I mean, it just seems a little bit goofy to me. It just seems like I don't know. I don't even call it a cop-out. It just seems odd.
Yeah.
Why get rid of the Kate Kane character altogether? It just seems like her arc wasn't done. She was barely out of diapers being Batwoman. She just got her grip on.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of baffling. I would just have gone with a recast. It's still Kate Kane, and now you're gonna bring in some character who's living in a van to be Batwoman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so you're basically saying, it's gonna be a fangirl who's gonna be Batwoman now.
It's just gonna be Chris Farley living down by the river in her van.
In the van down by the river.
That's really all she is.
I don't know. We just gotta wait. We gotta wait and see how it's gonna work out. I'm very trepidatious about it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
The surface, I don't like it. I think to me it's just in a way, kind of condescending, saying, "Hey, I can do anything good, so you know what? I don't need Kate Kane. I'm gonna make someone else." Like,
Yeah, and again, if they would have brought one of the other characters that had played her in the past, I could get that. I can get right behind that.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're talking this, what we read on Reddit. If that's the case, I don't know. That just seems kind of odd.
It's to me, it's baffling. It's like,
yeah.
Why? I mean, it's been done before. Even the MCU has done it. They had 2 Hulks. They had 2 War Machines. I mean, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden this trepidation of like, oh no, we only had one Kate Kane? That's just very silly.
Yeah, that is very strange, though. But we shall see. They're talking February 2021 will be the debut of this new Kate Kane.
Yeah, production. Yeah, production starts.
Yeah,
in October. Everything goes well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, everything. I mean, everything I've been reading looks like July is the date for everything to start back. There's been a few productions starting back up. I did read the Batman was starting back up in July. So there's a lot going on. Even a lot of TV series like we were talking about Mandalorian. That even though with the COVID thing, it's still set for its October start date for season 2 because they got a lot of the filming done. All they had was the post production stuff, and they just had to wait on getting that stuff done. Luckily with them, what was nice with them is that technology we were talking about a couple episodes ago. That new technology that they're using on set is what really got them ahead of the curve. So easy, sir. Where's my music? Taking off your clothes, music. Hold on. Well, I'm going to jump into something that we really very rarely try to talk about. We do try to keep everything light, fresh, going on here at the Heroes Asylum because of everything going on out in the real world. But actually, part of the real world is kind of drifting into the comic book world. And what's happening is the Punisher's co-creator, Gary Conway, is hoping to reclaim Frank Castle's skull logo from, the police departments. A lot of the police departments have been using that logo as part of their task force. If anybody has ever seen the Blue Lives Matter shirts, it's you'll see ones with the skull of the Punisher on there, and the co-creator is trying to reclaim this logo because he wants to help out the Black Lives Matters group and try to reclaim that logo, give it to them. This is not just for Gary. He is also getting some major backup on this. He is also getting Marvel has his back on this as well, and they are asking to get this logo back. It's not really a copywritten logo, so it's kind of weird what they're trying to do, but it is symbolized to Punisher. And in fact, if trying to remember the book, I had the number written down, but there was actually a book, a Marvel book about 5 years ago where Frank Castle went over to a few of the police officers' vehicles that had this skull on there, and he spray painted over it because he's like, no, my logo does not represent what you're doing. I'm doing something different.
That's the funny thing. That's a weird thing about this story. When I because I did happen to read that one. Him trying because isn't Castle's logo supposed to be anti-authority?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
yeah,
wait a minute.
That's the one thing.
Are you going to use it for this?
Yeah, that's the one thing. Gary was like,
little baffling.
Yeah, okay. Gary's like, that this is about an anarchist, a vigilante. The authority shouldn't be using this.
He kills policemen. He kills. I mean, there's issues in Warzone, War Journal, which is a great run, where he literally murdered all these crooked cops. I mean, it's just. I mean, I get it. Trust me, I do, especially with the times going on right now. But it's just you would really want that, especially now?
Yeah.
It would seem like an odd choice to do it now.
Well, it wasn't something now that they'd always done. This has been there for a while. When the Blue Lives, I've seen those T-shirts for years. The Blue Lives Matter T-shirts. It's always had the Punisher skull on it, and I guess it was one of those things I just never thought about it. I just always, I was like, oh, that's a cool Punisher skull. Never thought much about it. Then once he's bringing this up, and then of course, like I said, Marvel is backing him up on this as well. That they are wanting to get that back. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But like I said, we try not to venture too far out into the real world when it comes here. But that is something that kind of touches base with the comic book world. Is that they're trying to get the Punisher's anarchist logo back from the police departments.
And here's the ironic thing about that too is there's actually a comic book run. I think it's a couple issues where Frank Castle gets into he gets thrown into prison and he gets in a fight with Jigsaw, and Jigsaw just severely disfigures him, basically where he had to get plastic surgery, and when he gets plastic surgery, he becomes an African American male. I don't know if you ever read that one, so it's just kind of ironic that this is going on right now with all this civil unrest. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's just kind of ironic, but it's just strange.
Yep.
But I guess we're going to see where that goes.
Yeah. Now, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I got one more, man.
All right.
One more. In the vein of the Joker movie that came out, which was, if you watch me and Captain Mike's review about it, it's about 50-50. Some like it, we like it or don't like it. There has been another rumor, that success with that going on. The rumblings for a while about a potential sequel of that, but it's going to be a one-off film. And according to Humberto Gonzalez, it's pretty good. Yay, one of my countrymen. At Heroic Hollywood, there has been a rumblings about a Bane spin-off solo movie in the vein of the Joker. If you guys don't know who Bane is, look it up. He's a cool character, big strolling guy, but he's got a tragic backstory too. I mean, when I first read this, I thought they could pull it off. They did Joker, so nobody else is off limits now. And Bane, I think, has an even cooler backstory than Joker because his backstory is, it's been well told. Santa Prisca, basically, he was born in the prison, worked out, thing with a teddy bear, all that stuff. Went to Batman, beat the hell out of Batman several times. Very intelligent, by the way, too. I think that was one of the things they did in Dark Knight Rises very well. He's a strategic military guy as well.
I will break you.
Yeah. And he's great in the Harley Quinn series, by the way.
Awesome, yeah.
He's awesome in that series. And he actually had a comic book one that just finished, was called City of Bane, where he was very influential in a lot of things. And the death of a certain character that you haven't read it, you need to read it. It's part of canon now. It depends who you get as director and, of course, the writing, but I don't hate this idea. What do you think?
Honestly, it's a conversation we just had. He's already been done.
Yeah, I know.
I think a great version was already done on Batman Begins. In the Nolan universe, I think that made up for the Joel Schumacher debacle, and we got a great story out of it. So I think if they were going to play in another world or play with another villain, not him. He's already been done twice. One bad, one good. And then, of course, he's all over any of the animated stuff you find. You'll see him running around. So I think, there's a better villain out there. There's a much better villain out there.
Yes,
if they want to stay in that city gritty, keep it in Gotham, you want to go with one of those 5 or 6 other ones that we talked about that are there in the underworld. Bane is more of an international villain, just like Ross was and Talia was, and he's more international of a villain. I always loved Batman in the streets, the detective. That's something that you and I have always talked about. That gritty detective noir stories that were always there, and those stories always revolved around the Two-Face, the ventriloquist, the Firefly, Clayface, all those that were just inside of the city, and I think that's what that needs to stick to.
I agree. I mean, but if they're gonna could they do better characters, other characters at this point? Obviously, they can. But if they're gonna do this one, I don't hate it. I mean, I guess I got to see it. But you're right. They could do some other characters, man. They could do tons. I mean, make a horror movie with Clayface. It's right there.
Yeah.
And have Man-Bat in there. I don't know. You could do a lot of other things. I think this is the problem sometimes when you have a big studio that owns these comic book rights. They keep thinking, okay, what's gonna sell? What do people know? They know Bane. Let's do Bane.
Yeah.
Oh, but what about these other guys? They have some. Oh, no. Don't worry about those guys. Nobody knows who they are. Well, guess what? Nobody knew who Bane was for a while.
No.
So, come on. I mean, it all depends how you do it. That's the thing. They got to stop being afraid. Stop relying on old reliable. You did Joker. It was good. Fine. Move on. Do somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I love the simple fact that even with Suicide Squad, they brought in Killer Croc. Wow. Yeah. I thought that was when I heard that they were going to do Killer Croc, I was like, man, okay, you're going to attempt to make this creature. I can't wait to see that. And I thought they did a good job for what he is. He's not a crocodile. He's not a man, but he's like this mix. And I think they did a good job. And that's another character they could do that he's a muscle for somebody smarter out in there, out in the world. But again, you have to realize they're not making a Batman movie. They're making a villain movie. And I just don't think Bane... Again, I said this about Joker, and I had to eat my words, but I just don't know if Bane would really work without a Batman. Because his whole purpose was to take Batman down. I mean, that was his purpose from day one. I'm here to break you. Break your body, break your soul, break your mind. That's all he's after. I think a more grounded character of the ones we just rambled off. I think those are characters that can exist without a Batman. A Penguin would exist without a Batman. Ventriloquist would exist without a Batman. A Man-Bat would exist without a Batman, although that one wouldn't work so well. But I think the other
Clayface.
yeah. But I think the other lower level villains would work without a Batman. But again, you have to. I don't think a Firefly would work so well because he doesn't have that mental issue that you really need. Again, Ventriloquist, I would definitely say the Clayface, and of course, Two-Face. I think and Penguin would be great just solo movies. Because again, it's their psychosis, their ego that's driving them to do this. And Batman's just there to stop them from doing this. He's not like Joker. Batman created Joker. Joker created Batman. There's always been that constant dichotomy with them. The yin and the yang.
And it's cool. I like that. I do. But to me, that needs to rest. Like I think those stories have been told to death. We're done with those.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm pretty done.
They got what they have next year with the Suicide Squad movie, which I love to death, is they're introing characters that have never been on screen. We're going to get the Vigilante and Polka Dot Man. Did you ever think you would see a live action movie with Polka Dot Man?
I didn't think I'd want to see one with Polka Dot Man, honestly.
Yeah, that like Vigilante is going to be it. The King Shark. I mean, you have all these other characters you can do. Now, if it's going to come out, am I going to watch it? Yes, I'm going to watch the Bane movie because I'm fascinated to see if they're going to do it. Yeah, that's one of the things. But I'm with you 100%. They could do other characters.
Yeah, and I want them to do other characters.
Yeah, I want them to go in that toy box and be like, hey, you know what? This toy, I'm like, when we were kids and we had toys, right? We would play them for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month, and we get bored of them. And it's on to the next one. I don't know why Warner Brothers keeps doing this. Like, I want to keep playing with the same toy over and over again.
And it's not the same people that are in charge because these were done. These were done like years apart. It's just weird that they have that same mentality. That I'm like, really, come on.
To me, it's like that fuddy-duddy mentality. It's like, you don't want to branch out. You don't want to do different things.
Yeah, but it's not fuddy-duddy. That's why you and I always go back and forth about this. But I half agree with you because they have this mentality, but it's not the same people. It just that those people are dead and gone.
No,
but
you're
yet,
right.
But yet
they are gone. But they keep doing the same things.
It's just a strange thing. It's like
baffling.
Yeah.
What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and they keep doing the same thing. It's just. To me, it's kind of mind-boggling. I don't know why you would do it, but that's another subject.
Yeah.
If the Bane movie gets done, great, I'll watch it. But can they do something else? Please do something else. Do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I'll just throw out this name real quick before we go. Next subject is I would do a Blumhouse version of Clayface. I'm just thinking about that.
Well, again, if they just go into the horror genre, I mean, if you look, I mean, it hasn't come out yet. I mean, I don't think it will. I think my grandkids will watch it. But New Mutants, once that drops. You're gonna see that's a horror movie in the comic book genre, and I think once that gets it because we already saw Brightburn, that was awesome. I mean that was an original character. Why? What could you see a character that's already got material for it to be done in a horror film? Again, that's why I said I think if we're gonna see something, we need to see Scarecrow because we didn't get the real Scarecrow. Scarecrow should be a horror movie. It should be straight up horror, just like Clayface should be, just like Man-Bat should be. You got 3 straight up horror movies out of the Batman universe, and you don't need Batman on all 3 of those.
And you can base that movie in Arkham Asylum, where it's like a crazy, demented Crane, and he's releasing all these inmates out of Arkham little by little, and Batman's not even in the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could have him. You could just have Crane doing his experiments on people, and just seeing his eventual decline. I think probably like the origin that you had in Gotham with him about his dad driving him to do what he was doing, and then you just see him at the end of the movie finally being being Scarecrow, just like you at the final end, you finally saw Leto become. Or not Leto, sorry.
Leto became Scarecrow?
Sorry, no, Joker. I was jumping into the Joker realm. Sorry,
I gotta
just
text
put the
Leto, let him know that.
you saw Joaquin becoming Joker. By the end of the movie, you could see the same thing, that this rapid decline of this demented individual making people scared and pushing that limit further and further and further.
Or you can go like another route also. You can keep everything in Arkham Asylum, and you could keep them as he's a psychiatrist also, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking to these guys, like just basically have like I forgot the name of it, like it's some kind of lawyer movie. Anyway, where you're just sitting there and he's basically breaking you down subliminally, and you don't even know it. And basically, he's turning you insane.
Yeah.
Where you leave that session.
You don't need it in Arkham. You keep wanting to go back to Arkham. He can be outside of Arkham
I'm not saying it doesn't have to be in Arkham. It can be like any facility.
Yeah, I just think if he's a doctor or in a university and he's got access to all these people, these teens, these young. I mean, just imagine you're just straight up slasher flick. Just put in more with a suspense thriller that you could do that straight up with a Scarecrow. So my last one actually kind of falls into the comic book realm. So we can actually jump into the Heroes poll. Do you have some selections this week, or did you just pick them up?
All right. I do.
Sweet.
Yes, I do.
So let's go ahead and jump over to Heroes poll for.
I'm actually glad I got some polls this week. How long has it been for me? I got a new one. It's been like months.
What's that? Sorry, I had
For
music
polls.
playing. I didn't hear what word you were saying.
No, it's okay. I mean, you never listen to me anyway. But
so
saying,
I'm actually gonna start with a Heroes news for comic books, because this week also news that direct comic book retailers were polled because DC has officially left Diamond Distributors. Diamond Distributors, they have been the only distributor for DC and Marvel for the last 25 years. Big news, big break. But everybody's like, oh, well, that's kind of cool that they're doing this. They're going to different things. Yeah, but it's not helping our local comic book shops. This actually hinders our comic book shops because what's happening is they are now having to order from a different distributor, which they have to now set up a company, an account with these guys. They have to set up a ordering process with this new distributor. And what they're losing from Diamond is beforehand, Diamond had a deal with them that if you ordered a certain amount of books, you got a discount, and you were able to get certain like perks. Well, because they're not ordering as much, literally probably their ordering went to half what it used to be, because now they have to ship it over to the other distributors to get DC. It's kind of hurting our comic book industry, our comic book stores, our brick and mortar stores, which right now they need the help, just like every small business does. And when we look at comic book shops, the brick and mortars are mom and pop shops. There is not a chain of comic book stores. I wish there was. That'd be kind of cool, but there is not that, because these are all brick and mortar shops, mom and pops, like I was saying. And they're all now getting back to business. Some aren't still even open. We're here in Orlando. We're lucky. Our comic book shops have opened up about 2 weeks ago. But there are certain towns that still do not have comic books, going to their stores. So these guys are hurting, and then now they're going to have to pay more to get what they used to get. So it's not a lot of the comic book shops are not fans of DC right now. But keep in mind, Marvel did this back in 1990. So it's not a DC-only thing, so don't everybody start, rioting and wanting to burn DC down. Marvel's done this before, so it's just something that we're going to have to get over. It's just been being done at the worst possible time. Right now, like DC could have waited. I understand what DC was trying to do. Diamond stopped distributing, so they went to somebody else to get their product out there, which I thought at first, I was like, thank you, DC. You're still trying to get a product to the people that can get your books, and to keep our minds off of being stuck in the house, going through the whole, COVID and quarantine shit. We can still get some comic books, but now that it's over, you still had this deal with the distributor, but they said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go with the company that was there with us during the quarantine. So it's a hit for the local companies, and that's what we're more concerned about. DC will still be here. They'll still distribute books out. And again, of course, it's just more work for the local guys because now they have 2 orders coming in. They have one coming in on, I think, Monday now for DC, and then Tuesday and Wednesday it comes out for Marvel. So I just think it's kind of wasn't a good timing for DC.
Yeah, it's just bad timing overall right now, and just something I wish they would have held off of. It's because it makes them kind of look bad.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Now.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, business is business, but especially now. I mean, it's just not really a smart thing to do. Just you could have waited till the end of the year, to be honest, and then if you want to cut ties, it's fine. But I mean, it helps those other distributors. I get it, but just like right now, just I don't know, just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like these guys were with you when when nobody was releasing anything, and now you're just gonna say goodbye. I mean, I don't know. It's just very baffling. Very baffling.
Yeah, it definitely was. So what do you have for since I kind of burned up a little time there, what do you have for your first book?
I'm not going to talk about any writers or authors. You just got to check it out. I picked this one up. This is called, I don't know if you can see that. That's called Doom 2099. It's part of the 2099 series. I don't pick up a lot of Marvel comic books, as some people would know. But this one piqued my interest. It's another one-off. I think I did a one-off of Doctor Strange a couple months ago, which I thought was pretty good. And this one was pretty good, too. It talks about a Doctor Doom who basically wakes up in the desert. No memory of what happened. Slowly but surely, he finds these group of villagers. You find out he's on the outskirts of this world, slowly getting his memory back. And he basically has Reed Richards talking to him subconsciously about what happened. Apparently, there was a big fight between him and Reed. They always have these cool analytical discussions, is what I like. Very similar to Professor X and Magneto, going back and forth. Like, hey, you shouldn't be Doom. Why don't you just be Victor Von Doom? You be Victor. He's like, no, Doom is more powerful. And it's an interesting dichotomy when they keep talking to each other. I mean, obviously he's talking to this hallucination, but it's an interesting, almost profile on Victor. It kind of not humanizes him a little bit, but it shows how brilliant the guy is. Because I think the movies have never really done that. And it shows the guy has an A-level genius intellect. As he's being picked up by these villagers, he goes back and forth. He's trying to piece together how he got in the desert. And he actually finds out where he's at, and you actually find out why he was talking to Reed Richards so much. It's a cool one-off, and it's a cool ending, but to me, it shows the intelligence of Victor Von Doom. It shows that his ideals are not about world domination. He's all about Latveria. He goes, how's Latveria doing? Is Latveria thriving? That's his main area of focus. He's not about genocide in the world. This one is all about, hey, how's my country doing? Can I help them out? And that's basically why he wants to improve all this technology and get things up and running again, because he wants to make Latveria at the forefront of all these things. And I thought it was really cool. I mean, it's a one-off. It is what it is. You guys can pick it up. It's part of the 2099 series. It's called Doom 2099, and it's cool. It's really cool. I think you guys should just check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, I enjoyed Doom from last year, so I definitely would want to check this out. And if you guys remember, I did a little review on Doom from last year, and actually, that book got nominated for a Will Eisner Award. That's for this year. They put out their list for the Will Eisner Awards for NFN. Nobody's familiar with those awards. That is basically the comic book graphic novel awards. You'll find some of the top artists out there, top writers, some of the best, and it's not straight up superheroes. So when people think about them, you're like, oh, it's all about the comic. No, this you will find some of the really great books out there. I think one of the first ones that really impacted, I think, was Mouse. That came out, and that was a big one. A friend of mine who's in a book club actually handed me a graphic novel that was about it's a black and white comic book, but it was about the survivors from Katrina, and it's one of my favorite ones I like to read. Just every once in a while, because it's still in the art form of a comic book and comic strip, but done graphic novel wise. If you are listening to this, you obviously do know what a graphic novel is. But yeah, the Doom series, I thought they've always done him justice in the comic books. I haven't found a bad Doom version in comics. It's when they decide to put him live action that things get questionable.
They really screw him up for some reason. They make him with electrical powers.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
yeah, or he's magnetic and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
My book this week, and actually it was from last week, but somebody was supposed to pick it up, but he could not. And
it's not my fault.
It's not.
They don't
not
sell
my
it.
fault.
They don't have it. I mean, you
I'm
might as well spill
surprised.
the beans. On
I
it, 'cause
am. I
now
am.
I want to hear
Yeah, I
this.
am. But it was the finale to the He-Man series, Masters of the Universe from DC Comics. It was a 6-series run. Kane and I have been keeping up with it, talking about it. So, if you guys check it out, it follows basically an anti-He-Man that is trying to capture all the swords of Eternia, or the swords of power, through all basically the multiverse of He-Man. And what we follow is all the different He-Mans. We ran into the Dolph Lundgren He-Man. We run into the 1980s He-Man. There's a mini version of He-Man. I'm trying to remember. I did find out what he was, and I can't.
What
can't
was
remember.
he?
It came from another, I think, like a knockoff, like animated series that was just like a goofy one.
Okay, I was trying to
But
find out who he
then
was.
you run into all the different versions, even the different versions of toys that you had out there. They run into the battle chest ones that, if you hit the chest, it would flip over and be damaged. And it's just basically the story of them following this through. And what we come across is one character is as Skeletor, but as a human before he lost his skull, and we come to find out that he is the answer to defeating the anti-He-Man, because he is not a He-Man. He is not a Prince Adam. And so we go through the journey of jumping from multiverse to multiverse. If anybody's a fan of DC's multiverse, they handle this, again, with kit gloves and beautifully. But this just follows to the end of it, and where we've come to find that we've come to the final world where it's the anti-world. It is where the anti-He-Man came from. And everybody's there that's backwards. And we've come to find out that one of the residents there is actually a relative or a interest of the hero Skeletor. So we see them reunite, and then the other He-Men somehow start popping up again. There's different multiverses of more He-Men coming in. And, of course, they went and saved the day, but I won't tell you how. But it is very, it was done very well. I thought it was a nice short, like I said, six issue run, done very well.
Tied up nicely.
Yeah, tied it up pretty good. Yeah, I mean, the best they could. I mean, it was starting to get a little tripping over themselves because of the multiple He-Man, but I think they were able to clean it up as good.
When you got 6 issues, you could just do that, and as long as they finish strongly, it's fine.
They did, and there wasn't going to be a continuation because of this He-Man and the whatchamacallit, the
What, the anti?
not the anti-He-Man, but the Skeletor.
Kandor?
Yeah, no, the
Prince
Skeletor.
Kandor?
Yes, Prince Kandor. Yeah, because of him and his his face being half off, and but
Two-Face.
yeah,
Two-Face
basically,
Skeletor.
yeah, basically, and he remains that way. He doesn't get beautified. He still remains that way. But
Oh, that sucks.
him and Evil Lynn, end up in a lovely embrace.
Oh,
So
sweet. We'll have to check it out eventually when my copy comes in.
yeah, digital.
No.
Just saying.
Hard copy. Sorry, I had a cough.
Oh, sorry. I can read my books whenever I want, so you have to wait.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, nice. Rub it in there. Very nice.
So what do you got next?
I got Constantine issue 6 from the Black Label. The previous 2 issues had different artwork. I guess that's what they meant to do. This was back to the traditional artwork of issues 1 and 2. No through line in this. Basically, it's another one-off type series with Constantine still being Constantine. Basically, he's involving himself in life with a would-be, I don't want to say would-be apprentice, but a would-be warlock. But apparently this guy is not belligerent. He's not an alcoholic. This guy is basically all about yoga and free mind meditation and all that. It basically pisses Constantine off.
He's a granola warlock.
Yeah, he's a granola warlock. That's basically what he is. And he's like, he's doing yoga. He's doing all this stuff that pisses Constantine off. They're going on this hunt for this particular demon. And their hunting styles are very, very different. Let's just say that much. I thought it was cool. Kind of threw me a little bit how the artwork changed. I don't know why they did that. But
Did artist change by chance? Did you get a chance to
I don't
look?
know. I think it was just like the artwork for 2 issues changed, and then it reverted back to the first couple issues. Like I think the last 2 issues were kind of like very stencily, very light, and this one went back to the darkness and all that stuff.
Maybe just an editorial correction.
Maybe it could have been something like that. I don't know if it was on purpose or whatnot, but it's Constantine. I don't know what the arc is now because the arc has changed. I mean, now they're going off into these little one-off tangents. The little thing that I had before with the first couple issues with the burning tree and the angels hasn't been really brought back yet. You have these other demons out there. You have this, granola bar warlock now hanging out with Constantine. So I don't know what the hell is going on. It's kind of throwing me for a loop, but for a one-off, it's pretty good. It's solid. Hopefully they get back to that arc. If not, maybe make a better arc. It's getting into Lucifer territory right now. Lucifer is kind of like, threading in and out.
Yeah. Well, it's probably just like any television show. You have your little 3-4 story arc going on, and then you have like your kind of throwaway episodes. Right now, so. Yeah, you kind of got your in the middle one. So hopefully, now question for you: I haven't gotten a chance to like really delve into it. I want to. I've been caught up in other ones, but I've read the first 2. But now that you're into 6, does it still, since this is a new Constantine and a new arc and everything, does it still feel Constantine?
Oh yeah, it's still Constantine.
Okay, I was just concerned about
even the drawings, even like I was saying how the art would kind of change in a couple issues. It's still Constantine.
Is it? Okay.
It's
I felt it the first 2 issues, but then I was like, okay, well, is it going to continue? And like I said, I just haven't gotten a chance to read them. I've got them.
Like Constantine is not sober. I mean, he's not going to AA meetings.
Well, no, he can't. Yeah, it's just wrong.
He's like, hey, Meg, I'm going to quit alcohol forever. Like,
so he's on the alcohol. He's not on the heroin. He stopped doing the black tar, right?
No, he stopped doing the black tar.
Okay.
He's all about drinking.
He's all drinking.
Like, looking for his favorite pub. Everything's like,
it's all about his beer.
Hang out a pub, mate. So.
All right. I'm just curious because again, I've read the first 2. I just haven't gotten able to catch up in the last 4, and I was just wondering, with the change, with it now being black labeled and kind of its own little world now, I was just curious how it was going.
It's still John.
Okay.
It's still John. Yes. But just hope they get back to story arc. So.
Perfect.
What's your next?
My next one is actually a Superman Action Comics number 1022. Bendis, Romita Jr., Mika, and Anderson are on the book. And this is actually the reason I wanted to pick this one up, because I've been trying to get my teeth back into Superman, and it's just kind of hard to pick up where to go. I've been wanting to start over on the Bendis series. I did find a good series of books, like they give you a suggested reading for how to get all of the Bendis ones in and find that world. But this one was it's called The House of Kent, Chapter 1. So I was like, okay, this is a good place to jump in. It's picking up a little bit. Luckily, I was reading the Young Justice series where we had the return of Connor Kent from the 90s, leather jacket, flipped up, coif hair, in the clone outfit. So he was there in Young Justice, and basically he's from a multiverse. So what this basically story is this follows him and Clark meeting. Clark brings him to the Fortress of Solitude, and basically it's Clark trying to talk to him and find out who is he, where's he from. You have the Kryptonian robots, checking him out, making sure everything is right. And yes, everything's right. He is part Clark Kent. He is part Lex Luthor. He has the memories of the 90s, so he remembers those villains, what took place. But it's that Superman's gone now. Halfway through, we see that Jonathan, his son, Clark's son, and Brainiac 5, because Clark's now a little bit older. He's now in his teens, and he went off to the Legions to be with the Legion in the future. And we see him come back. So now not only do we have Clark, Connor, John, and Brainiac 5, and I love the moment when Brainiac 5 jumps into the Fortress of Solitude, and the Kryptonian robots are all going, "What is your origin? Who are you? Where are you from? Who are you?" And they just keep bugging him. Finally, Clark's like, "Just go away. He's fine. Don't worry about him," because it's trying to figure out, hey, he's a Brainiac. We should be destroying him. So they keep trying to do it. Clark finally brings Connor, his son, Jonathan, and then Brainiac 5 to the Hall of Justice, where they meet up with Will Magnus, Mr. Terrific, Batman, Ray Palmer, Adam.
Will Magnus?
Yeah, I thought that was weird when I saw. I was like, Will, what's
a deep cut, man.
Yeah. So, and you've got the Adams. You've got, I mean, it's a who's who, and basically Superman saying, the reason I brought you guys here, you are all the brains. The most brainiest people I know, basically, is how he puts it. And we need an answer to, where did he come from? Where did this Connor come from? So they're still trying to figure it out, and eventually they all just decide to go see Ma and Pa Kent. Now, I'm reading an older Superboy series a few years back, and Paul Kent's dead, but in this one now he's alive. That's the only thing I'm wrapping my head around, the who's dead, who's alive. But But it's very interesting is when Ma Kent sees Connor, she knows who he is. And that's basically where we ended. Like, how does she know who he is? That she knows that he's not from this earth. She knows who he is. Like, she says, "Hi, Connor." Nobody knows that's his name. And it's very interesting. But because he remembers her from the 90s, that she helped raise him for a little bit to get his shit together when Superman did finally return. So it's kind of an interesting one. I'm curious to see who he really is. Like I said, you have to read the Young Justice series. I think that was about January. I think is when this one came out. January last year, or December last year, January this year, and it's connected into it. So I'm just kind of curious to see which route this goes. But
that whole story sounds very
when Ma Kent saw him, I'm like,
Tom,
wait a second, that's what's going on here. I'm confused. I was confused jumping in where I was, and that usually is how it is when you jump into the middle of a comic book, especially when they're at 1,222. You're going to be a little confused. I was like, okay, all right, well, I'll have to wait to the next one to maybe see where they start connecting the...
Well, hopefully Bendis will redeem himself in your eyes.
Let's hope. I'm giving him a shot, man, because a lot of people like him. A
give
lot
the
of
guy a
people do
shot.
like
He's
him.
a good writer, man.
Yeah,
He just, he had a little faux pas with the last one, which is unforgivable. So.
We shall see. We shall see. And it's still, we're still in that world where he's still dealing with the fact that everybody knows who he is. That's the one thing that they're talking to Connor, and, Batman's like, well, you did tell everybody who the heck you were, so... How do we know this is who this guy is?
Yeah,
and that's when Ma Kent's like, Connor. She knows exactly who he is. So it's like, okay. And they, I think Brainiac did a search for all the Connor Kents in the world, and there was only one.
I wonder if this is going to prelude to Death Metal, because they're introducing all these multiverse.
I would say
again.
Yes, because there is something about Connor's outfit that isn't exactly 90s. He's still in the leather jacket. His outfit's close to what it is, but the one thing that's different, he's got metal spikes on his shoulders.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Like, there's got to be
something different about him. So maybe he is connected with the Death Metal series that's coming up.
It's coming out in August, I believe, if I'm correct.
We'll see, because it was supposed to come out in August, but we don't. Because what they're having to do is they're probably having to build these other stories up to introduce Death Metal.
Yeah.
So maybe we will see if that is connected. I didn't even put two and two together with that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, because once you mentioned that, his outfit's a little tad bit differently.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just a hair different.
Multiverse thing, and then we got Death Metal coming up.
His outfit almost reminded me a little bit of. Do you remember when? It was the late '90s, or no, probably mid to late '90s. They had the Doomsday versus Superman comic book series. It was like 3 books. They weren't graphic novels, but they were thicker than normal, really high quality book pages. And it had Mother Box created a new outfit for Superman to Superboy's outfit underneath the leather jacket reminds me a little bit about it, like the belts and there's certain things. So who knows? But again, this did start back in Young Justice when they got separated. And they discovered that Superboy. He was in the middle of space on some asteroid. So.
See about that one.
Yep. So do you have any others?
Got one last one. Right. This one is speaking of Superman, we got Batman and Superman issue 8. That's right. Part of the saga series has been going on for a while. It's kind of like a prelude, not a prelude, but it's kind of like a side story to the Year of the Infected, which I haven't seen any release date on the Year of the Infected yet, or the whatever it's called. But anyway, it's supposed to be a side story between Batman and Superman.
Is that Year Infected or Deceased?
Is it Year in the Effect? I think it's, or Year the Villain.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking Year the Villain. Yeah, because I haven't seen anything come out on that yet in a while. So it's supposed to be connected to that, because I haven't heard anything about the showdown between Luthor and the Batman who laughs. But this is just the continuing saga of Batman and Superman. The last one you had was basically you had Ra's al Ghul versus General Zod. Zod left, and you find out there's a certain city that's bottled up again with all the Kryptonians. This one doesn't allude to any of that, but you find out at the beginning of this issue that there's a certain flaming skull in Gotham City, and he doesn't know why he's there. Is he being mind controlled? We don't know. Batman sort of subdues him, but basically this flaming skull guy, it's the Atomic Skull, if you guys didn't know who he is. He's Superman. Why is he in Gotham? He doesn't even know how he got there. No clue. And he doesn't. And Batman's trying to figure out who put behind him. Basically, towards the end of that little arc where the Gotham Police Department comes and tries to apprehend him, you can't apprehend the Atomic Skull. You know what's going to happen. And eventually it does happen. Basically, Superman, at this point, is trying to go out on a date with Lois, but he's finding it a little bit difficult. Gee, I wonder why. Because there's always paparazzi around Lois Lane now that basically Superman has decided to reveal himself to the world. So privacy is this thing that's not going to happen for him again. Basically, you have a little moment between him and Lois. He flies off. He sees Batman basically buried underneath some rubble because the Atomic Skull blew up. Why? We don't know. So the mystery begins. So who sent the Atomic Skull out there? Because apparently in this universe, the Atomic Skull, he's been redeemed. He's kind of an anti-hero. He's working with the police department and all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. But you find out towards the end who was controlling the Atomic Skull. It's for a specific reason. I won't say who it is, but when I saw who it was, I was like, oh, okay, I haven't seen this guy in a while. And it stops there, and we're going to find out and go from there from this arc. So you're kind of veering off the year of the villain stuff with the Batman Who Laughs. We're not going to find out who the Secret Six are yet. So I guess this is sort of like a one-off storyline, like a Supernatural. It's kind of like a one-off thing going in this miniseries. So pretty good. I didn't like the whole Superman thing, but hey, that's what happens when you reveal yourself to the world. So
yeah,
you're not going to get privacy.
Yeah, that's something that they're going to have to. They're going to have to correct, and I mean that's why that's one reason why I was very upset about it. I was like, that shouldn't be that way. That should be because that's going to be a hard fix. I mean, literally, they're going to have to do a redo, another Crisis. You know, I just
don't like it. I just don't like it. I just think it's stupid. Like, okay, hey guys, I'm Clark Kent, but I'm also Superman. Oh yeah, I mean, why? What was the point of it?
Yeah,
I get you want to change some stuff around, but they're just certain.
Superhero's secret identity is extremely important. Yeah, it kind of kills it. You know, Peter Parker. You know, during Civil War when he took his mask off. Mm-hmm. You know, and the way they corrected that, it was some weird convoluted way of doing it. And that's what they're going to have to do here. It's going to be.
They're going to have to. This is one of those things you need a multiverse.
Yeah.
Or another like Crisis 7. Like how many Crises have they done?
Well, again, DC has Crisis, and Marvel has Infinity somethings. That's just the two. That's literally the two worlds. When you look at it, you can find Infinity all over the place or Secret something. Yeah, in Marvel,
when
DC,
in doubt, you'll have the secret Infinity War. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only time they didn't have a Crisis in DC was 0 Hour, but it was a freaking crisis. They just didn't name it, which was smart of them. I thought that was probably their best one to do, was not name it another freaking crisis. Name it something different.
Please don't name it another crisis.
You know, I mean, right now you're doing. Well, right now they're doing Heroes in Crisis, and to me, I'm not a big fan of that one. That's basically a rundown of like the superheroes dealing with their PTSD, and I understand that's a very strong subject and something that should be addressed. I thought a different title was probably more.
Yeah, come on, like PTS Crisis.
Yeah, but Heroes in something, but not Crisis, because Crisis to me is reserved for something more. That's why I want to go.
Crisis played out. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm done with the Crisis.
Well, but again, like I said, you're going to get that just like you're going to get with Secret something or Infinity something from Marvel. They that's just their thing. Something we have to accept and just go with. You know, but when you look at other books, I can't think of any other world. Well, I guess Image isn't really a shared universe as
Not
much.
Really.
So they've never had to have a reboot that I can think of.
Because they're smart.
Yeah. Well, but again, they are.
They don't have enough characters too.
But that's the thing; they don't have enough characters, and they don't let those characters interact as much as the Marvel and DC. And I think it's one of those catch-22s. It's a great thing that you have all these characters be able to interact and share the same world. But when you get too many cooks in the kitchen playing around with the world, you have to reset every once in a while. And I don't know when was our last Crisis. Was that early 2000s? Maybe it's been a decade.
I believe it was probably about a decade.
So maybe
every 10 years
I was saying maybe we are due for one. So maybe who knows? Maybe your death metal will be the the start of it.
I hope not. I hope not. Please don't. Let it be something wacky and weird. I don't want to hear
death metal. I think will be perfect for it.
Death metal is really like infinite death. Like no.
Well, then again, but that's why they won't call it Crisis. Maybe they won't call it that. They'll call it the death metal, and it'll be changed, and just like they did with 0 Hour. Like I said, 0 Hour was a refresh, but you never knew it was a crisis until it was done.
I think death metal is going to have a lot to do with the Batman Who Laughs.
Well, it is, but I think this is an overall,
but
this is an overall arcing thing. I think it's going to be taking place over everything because they're getting ready to start the 5G, and I think the 5G is their sort of refresh. But 5G is actually 5 generations ahead, so we're not. They need to clean up what's happening now. In a way, I think the 5G thing is kind of cool because we can see what things are, and there's a new world to play in. But we comic book readers are very staunch and very very loyal to our stuff, and we want what we've always had. Mm-hmm. You can tweak certain things here and there, but we don't want to have to learn a whole new series of characters. That's why I think a lot of times, like the Young Justice, and hasn't taken off as big as a regular Wonder Woman or Superman or anything like that. It hasn't taken off as big because it's new characters. We're just not comfortable with them just yet.
Yep. I would agree.
I just don't think 5G is going to do that well, but
we shall see.
But I'm not the only one saying that, so.
Yeah, you're right. You're not the only one.
There was a big, large voice, Dan Didio. He definitely made the comment on that. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of our show today. Thank you guys for tuning in, subscribing, checking us out. We appreciate it. We will be back next week, and I'm hoping this week I'm going to try to do a midweek little pop in again. I've been trying to do it, just life does things, so I haven't been able to really jump in and do it like I want to. So hopefully this week I'm going to try to pop in and do like a midweek review, and then we do have a new episode of Midnight Movies that dropped. Constantine is out. A very interesting show done at 2:30 in the morning. I will tell you that one of us was inebriated. You figure it out. And one of us was having a hiccup fit through halfway through it, so you figure that one out as well. Mm-hmm. But it is a fun listen to. I re-listened to it, and it was fun. It was fun. So, and then we have a new one coming out. We're gonna drop heavy metal. I don't know if we're going to drop it this week. I might wait for next week. We got to sit down and figure our schedule out to see what we've got planned. But that is part of Kane's movie picks categories. That we're trying different categories than normal, but we seem to not be doing that. We're doing movies in our genre that fall under those kind of genres. So it's kind of
we're keeping it in the Asylum, like literally.
Yeah,
keeping it in
vein. It's not working the way not working the way I thought it was going to work. But we've done a few outside, but I think we keep sticking into our vein. But and then of course hopefully we shall have Guardians of the Galaxy this month for our Avengers initiative or Avengers watch along. So,
the Infinity Saga, or the Hero Asylum Infinity Saga.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope to see you guys next week. And don't forget to check us out at streamerlinks.com/heroes_asylum. I'll get you a link to all of our pages, which Kane will talk about now.
Twitter at the Heroes Asylum Podcast. Check us out over there. And Instagram at the Heroes Asylum. Good stuff being posted on there. Facebook page is the main area of contact. I think we're at close to 700.
We're at 724, 725 last time I looked.
Let's hit that 1,000. The goal is to get 1,000, and Captain Mike's going to buy free shots for everybody at the Winchester.
No, I am not.
Yes, he is. We'll be there. So make sure you hit us at that 1,000. And as always, guys, from the Captain Me to you, get to the Asylum.
See you later.